everybody, this is Dr. Craig with AI, and I'm here with Vennard, who's doing some really interesting things with technology. Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to talk to you, Craig.
Great to see you. Thanks for doing this. How about you introduce yourself and how you became interested in technology?
Sure. So I'm Vennard Wright. I'm the CEO for Provista, and I've been in IT now for close to 30 years. And my degree is in business administration, but I got married at an early age. Still married to the same beautiful woman. I'm proud to say 29 years later. But
Wow.
at the time, with my degree being in business administration, I was working in finance and contracts administration for a nonprofit. It was a large nonprofit, but a nonprofit nonetheless. So my salary at the time was probably around $40,000 a year. And my wife, who was a cosmetologist at the time, looked at me and said, "Vennard, you have a degree? I don't, but I make twice as much money as you. So there's something wrong with this picture." So I got into IT just to make more money than my wife, and it ended up working out. So I've had a long, some would say illustrious career, and it has been very rewarding. And one of the things that I like about IT is that it really does give you the ability to create measurable progress against things that organizations are looking to accomplish. So I've had a number of different roles. I served as Chief Technology Officer for EDS, which was a company that Ross Perot founded. I was also Director of Technology for Hillary Clinton during her Senate reelection in 2008 presidential campaign, CIO for Prince George's County, which is the second largest county in Maryland. I was CIO for WSSC Water, which is the 8th largest water utility in the US. And last role I had outside of working for myself was CIO and VP of Operations for Iron Bow Technologies, which is $1 billion, mostly federal contractor. And I started the most recent company, Wave Welcome, in 2020, which some would say was an awful decision because I did that during the global pandemic, but it ended up working out well for us. And from there, we saw an opportunity to really address what is becoming a burgeoning issue, not just in the US, but around the world in terms of active shooter events in schools. So we developed a technology which leverages AI to analyze video streams in real time to detect guns and notify police proactively. So that's the company that we've since spun out, Provista.
Fantastic. Why don't you tell us more about how you're using AI in that enterprise?
Sure. So we're using, it's computer vision is the easiest way to look at it. But what we're looking for, we've created a data set of known firearms, and we're able to use that data set to say whether or not it's a long gun or a short gun, because the response for an AR-15, which is a long gun, is going to be very different from the response for a short gun like a 9mm. So what we're doing is we're looking frame by frame from the electro-optical signal that comes from stationary surveillance cameras. And when we see a match or against what we believe to be a firearm, we are sending an alert to public safety authorities. We send that a number of different ways. It comes up in the platform that we've created, but we also send an SMS message and an email as well, which allows not just public safety officials, but if there's a security guard on site or if there's some other authorized official, they're able to look at that clip and see exactly what's happening.
So what's the time frame from the camera picking up? There's something that looks like a gun, software processing it, sending an alert. We can't judge a response time, I would imagine, but what's that time to processing and get the warning out there?
Yeah, so our SLA, we want to make sure a notification happens in under 2 minutes, but the alert is instantaneous. So we are testing, and our goal, so we have it set up so that it's looking multiple times per second. So we're always looking. So we've seen that it is instantaneous. So even with latency, we're able to make sure that police are notified within 30 seconds.
Wow. And so the cameras that are feeding into the computer vision software, how many cameras are there and where would they be likely?
Yeah, so it varies by client. An ideal customer is going to have cameras on the exterior of the building, as well as the interior and public places. And where that would come in handy, you can take our building here as an example. So we do have an armed security guard here in our building who's in the lobby, but by the time someone comes into the lobby, it's too late. So it would be helpful for that security guard to be notified that someone's walking in from the parking lot with a gun, and that way they can take proactive measures. So it really would be a combination of cameras that are in strategic locations on the outside of a building, but also in certain locations on the interior of a building as well.
Right. So it's organization by organization. It's not using public cameras in streets or ATMs.
So we do have the ability to do that, but so far, what we are doing is working with customers who have existing cameras. And the only thing the camera needs to be able to do is to connect to the internet. As long as we can capture the IP address, we can feed it into our platform, which is hosted in the cloud.
Right. And so the software that you're using, is this bespoke, something that you've created, or is it off the shelf, this data set you can get?
Yeah, so it's something we created from the ground up. So we are using some existing technologies. So we are an AWS partner. So we are using Amazon Rekognition and Amazon Kinesis as certain parts of the technology, but we've developed the machine learning algorithm, the data sets, and how things are being transmitted and how notifications are being sent out. So it is our platform.
Okay. And so AI, how is it AI?
So the way that it's AI is because, well, the reason we're using AI is because with a security guard, you asked about how many cameras are a part of a system. It could be 10 cameras that are at a location, and security guards get distracted sometimes. And even if they are looking at 10 feeds from 10 different cameras, you might miss something. So what AI allows people to do is to be notified proactively if something is occurring. It also allows them to be notified if they had to get up and move away from the desk for whatever reason. So there are certain elements that are included. I mentioned computer vision, but machine learning is there as well, because the platform is getting better and better over time in terms of alerts to make sure we're cutting down on false positives. We also have predictive analytics that are built into it, because what we're looking to do is that clients are notified in terms of things they can do to keep themselves secure. And that really is based on what if scenarios. So generative AI really operates based on historical context and based on things that have happened before. It makes a prediction about what it believes is going to happen in the future. So that is built into our platform.
Right. Okay. And so is this being used in schools at present?
Yes, it is. It's being used in schools. We also work with the Baltimore Orioles. We're working with the National School Boards Association and other customers as well. But it has use cases across the board. So not just with schools, but hospitals, with emergency rooms where people are walking in and out 24 hours a day. It has applications in churches, retail locations, restaurants, you name it, anywhere people go.
Right. And so I noticed that you wrote a book recently.
I did. Yeah, so it's a book called Cracking the C Code. So I've had the honor of being a C-level executive for 4 separate billion-dollar organizations. And what I saw is that people really don't understand what it takes to get to that level. And for a long time, I thought I was just really lucky in terms of getting those positions. But what I realized over time is that it really boils down to certain soft skills that you have to be really good at, not just to get the job, but to be successful once you're in the job. So what I did is wrote 15 chapters. So chapters 4 through 15 are the 12 soft skills that are most critical for achieving C-level success. And the book is called Cracking the C Code.
Nice. And how can people get hold of that?
So it's on Amazon, which gives us the ability to be able to sell around the world. So there are 2 different versions of it. There's a paperback version and there's a hardback version. So the paperback version certainly suffices, but if you want to get the hardback, that's perfectly fine as well.
So for leaders in schools in an educational environment where people may have been teaching for a long period of time, might be resistant to change or be nervous that all their resources that they built up over a long period of time and they're comfortable with, they meet the needs of the children. Why would they want to change and develop AI skills? And it can become very, very challenging. So for a leader who's wanting to bring in change with technology, what are some of those crack the C code skills that they should look to grow and use in that type of environment?
Yeah, so it's not unique to AI. Anytime you're putting in a major system or you're changing things drastically, you're going to get resistance. And a big part of the reason you're getting resistance is because there's a fear of the unknown. So one of the things I talk about in the book is that it's important to make sure that you are relying on the institutional experience that is there within an organization. So in a lot of cases, you're going to run into people who may have been a part of an organization for decades. They know a
Mm,
lot. They certainly know more about their job than you do. So I don't take that for granted. So what I'm looking to do is to, number one, make sure that I understand what an organization is looking to accomplish strategically. And those tend to be the subject matter experts who have been in place for a long time. And then what I do is have conversations with them about their pain points. And oftentimes technology, artificial intelligence included, can help to solve those pain points. And what I'm looking to do is to make sure that their feedback is incorporated and they understand exactly what the change is going to be. And number one, emphasize that it's not going to eliminate jobs, but that it is going to make their jobs a lot easier.
right. Okay. And for leaders that need to communicate to their communities, which schools always do when there's some change or development or new things happening, what's the best way to communicate with stakeholders and community?
So I'm a big fan of making sure that their feedback is incorporated as well. And I'll give you an example of that. When I was the CIO for WSSC, the water utility, of course, we serve the public. And anytime you're putting in a new system, and in this case, we were putting in a new billing system, we were putting in a new work asset management system and a mobile workforce management system all at the same time. So these are things that are going to have a major impact on people that are paying bills and already feel like they're paying too much for those bills. So it was important to make sure that we were getting their input when we were designing the system and also getting them to help with testing as well. So a part of this new billing system was a completely new build. So wanted to make sure we understood what that bill should look like and get their feedback about whether or not they felt enough information was reflected in that bill. So just, that's just one example of how you make sure that people feel they're included in the process and not being subjected to something that is being put in place without their input.
So you developed some range of different bills and got feedback and
That's
then
right.
settled on the final one.
That's right. Yeah. So the way I look, it's a term that I didn't come up with. It's a term that's pretty common in IT, but just an integrated project team. And it was really made up of people who were inside the utility, but also people who might be community leaders, and in this case, elected officials as well.
We've had some interesting communications from in our media over the last 12 months about billing from mobile phone companies and the way that it's very
Absolutely.
confusing. It's hard to figure out how much you're really paying and what you're paying for and the different services and did I really ask for those services? So it's
Right.
interesting. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah. Some of that is by design. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's also an area where AI could help. I mean, AI can certainly allow you to parse more data more rapidly than you could otherwise.
right. Bernard, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate your insights and sharing your journey and your book as well. What's the best way for people to get hold of you if they want to contact you?
Sure. So I do have a website, vennardw.com, and my name is not that common, so I'll spell that out for you, but it's VENNARDW.com. That's the easiest way to connect with me, but I'm also on LinkedIn as well, and I have the pleasure of being the only Vennard Wright in the world, so I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, and I'm pretty active there as well.
Wow, congratulations. That's really cool. I'll make sure that your LinkedIn link and your website link are with the show notes, wherever it may be on social media.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.